Welcome back everybody, Orange Track Outlaws. So today we got the 3 Blind Mice Paint It Green challenge, and I picked this Hot Wheels 71 Plymouth Roadrunner muscle car. That's kind of my theme here. I'm thinking muscle, I'm thinking racing stripes, thinking color swap, wheel swap. That's what I'm going for here. So I got some green on green racing stripes, kind of the paint thing I'm going for. So been looking at this car for a while, been wanting to do something with it. So I think this is a good one to go with here. So overall, pretty cool casting. I know it's been out a handful of years, but you know, it does have a plastic base to it. So we're gonna do something with that. Probably paint it, detail it. It's got the chrome interior, which is awful. I hate it. We're gonna strip that down. It was super clean. The interior, or the windshield, just gonna need sanded and buffed a little bit. Hopefully the body's in good shape, but we're gonna put that in sandblaster and get that off. And here's a look after sandblast. We did end up adding a couple side mirrors on there, which is basically just a couple real small nails. So we're going to prime this guy up, and that's basically all the modifications really I'm going to do to the body, was putting those mirrors on. But we're going to put this, I'm going to prime it up here with some Createx Autoborn Sealer, and go with that to start. Probably hit it a couple good, probably at least twice, probably maybe 3 times, get a good coverage. The body was in overall good shape, so that we don't have a lot to really fill in, which is really nice. So we're going to get this thing primed up, and then we're going to move on to a base color to get started. So we're going to use this opaque light green. What we're going to do is cover the whole thing with this before we start adding some accents. So we're going to put on our 4030 and our 4012 like usual, and we're going to get this guy covered up. I think we're running about 40 psi right here. It's usually sprays pretty well. We're just going to get this thing coated up nice and even, lightly to start, get it all coated up, and then we'll start layering on here. I'll let this dry for a little bit, and then we'll start layering on. Probably going to go about 3 coats like usual here. Just try to get ourselves a good nice green base coat, and then we'll start adding our accents and our pearls. I want to make this thing sparkle, but I want to make you know, kind of like a 2-tone racing stripe, make them pop. So you come in here with coat 2 and start layering it up here. Make sure you get all the little nooks and crannies and stuff, and all the fender wells and all that. So that's what I usually like to do. Start on the inside, you know, get the insides of the fender wells, and then hit them straight on, and then move to the outside, and work your way around slowly. You know, make sure you get the angles quite right there when you have one of those wings on the back, so you can get, you know, all around it, under it, and make sure that thing's coated real well. But I'm going to get this thing coated up, and I said earlier I want to get this thing nice and sparkly. So we're gonna put some sparkle green on there. We're gonna add some hot rod sparkle to it. So pearl green, we're going to start with that. We're going to kick it up a little bit and add a little of that hot rod sparkle to it, kind of like bigger flakes, a little more concentrated on the sparkle. Not too much though, because it does tend to clog the gun, depending on what size nozzle you got. But you can see there in the cup, it's real sparkly. Should work pretty well. So probably going to hit this. Probably it don't take much, since we have the green base coat, which really helps. Since that pearl green is somewhat transparent, so it's kind of hard to start with just a white base coat and go with that. It's easier to go with the green base coat, and you don't have to put so many coats of that pearl green on top. So that's what we're going to do. Lay this on pretty good. It doesn't have to go. You don't have to go with like a real light tack coat on this. It seems to work out okay. I'm just going to lay it on pretty good, get a good coverage, and let it dry for This stuff does dry pretty fast. I mean, you can probably let it dry for about 5 minutes or so and move on. It does work quick. So I'm going to come in here with coat 2 and get it going. Um, make sure the coverage is nice and full. And I think that'll be enough. We're going to let that dry probably a little more than normal, because then we're going to start taping it up and get our racing stripes going. So don't want to do too much here with it. You definitely don't want that tape to pull anything off. So I'm just going to let it dry just a little longer than usual. But after that, should be okay. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tape off some fat racing stripes on there with our pearl green, and then I'm going to go over this with just a little bit of candy emerald green from the Candy 2.0 line, and basically just try to candy up the rest of the body other than where I got taped off, and it should leave some nice pearl green stripes once we pull the tape off. So hoping it does pretty well. Candy paints are pretty easy to spray. They are thin, but you want to add a good amount of that 40-30, and then you can thin it back down with the 40-12, and this stuff sprays really easy. So you do got to be careful, since you're tinting the color. You definitely don't want to spray in one spot too long. Move it around a lot, and make sure you can get good coverage. If you stay in one spot too long, it'll get a little darker than the rest, and it'll look kind of goofy. So not quite sure that's the look you want. So I'm gonna hit this thing. I'm gonna darken it up a little bit. I'm gonna keep moving it and going into it. Not quite sure how many coats it's gonna take, and I'll just stop when I feel like I got the color that I want here. But we're going for coat 2, and I really don't want a huge contrast, but I want it to be noticeable when I take the tape off, so you can see those racing stripes. So if I put coat 2 on here fairly thick, I think we'll be okay. Just make sure you don't go too thick on it. You don't want that stuff to run. It will run, and then you got a nice little mess on your hands. But after I get done with this, I think it looks pretty good. I'm gonna pull them. I'm gonna pull those that tape off, and now I'm going to just add a little bit of accents here. I'm going to put a little gloss black around the grill in the front, and then we're going to put it on the wing in the back, just for a little something different, just to try to put a little bit of accent on it, add a little black to it. I'm also going to add, once I get this tape off here, I'll put some details on it, chrome it up a little bit, put some chrome on the handles, on the mirror side of the mirrors. I'll do the headlights, do some tail lights, and detail up some of the exhaust and stuff on the chassis. So here's a look at our chassis here. We got our wheel swap done, pretty basic there. Just coated the body, or the chassis, with some flat black and detailed out the exhausts. I did drill out a little bit on the bottom there. You can see I did add a couple exhaust tips. Detailed out the not necessarily the interior, but the rear chrome. You can see the windshield turned out nice. That was just a quick sand and a polish job. And here's a look at our body. This is after about a day or two of drying with the clear coat. You can see it sparkling. You can see the racing stripes on there. Look really cool. It's not too crazy where it's. I think the proportions are good on the stripes. I think the contrast of the greens look good. I mean, there's sparkle in there all over. So really happy with how that turned out. Pretty excited to get this thing back together, get it on the turntable, see what it looks under the light, get to see how that sparkle looks. So I do usually use self-tapping screws on most of my cars, other than the red lines. I do feel that it seems to make things easier. One thing, while you do use these screws, it tends to help to either, if you want to do it before you paint, put the screw in there so it taps the grooves out real easy. That's fine. I like to do it. I usually do it after I paint, and then I'll put them screws in there, and then we'll back them out before assembly, so they go in nice and easy once we're trying to put the chassis on. Or you can just put it all on at the end, and you just kind of got to push a little harder and turn them a little harder, but it'll go in just fine. So we got our car together, we're assembled, and we're going to get this bad boy up on the turntable for you. But first we'll take a quick step back here. This is what we started with in the 1971 Hot Wheels Plymouth Roadrunner. Cool looking casting here. I mean, this happens to be a pink one with some decent, well, the typical Plymouth tampos on there, but stripped all that stuff off. Did a nice little wheel swap with some chrome rims, real riders, painted the chassis, stripped out the interior, detailed front and rear bumpers underneath, new paint job, racing stripes, muscle car style, and this thing turned out awesome. This thing was looking really good. I tried to put a little bit of a flashlight on. You see it just kick on there, so when it turns around here, you can kind of see that thing sparkle as it's turning. So that thing, it turned out really nice. Real happy with how this thing looked. So I want to thank you guys for watching another one of my custom cars here. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you are subscribed, hit the like button, and check out all the other Three Blind Mice videos. There should be some cool stuff on this painted green one. This is always a fun one. I like to see the creativity when everybody comes up with. So please check everybody else's builds out, see what they got going on. Check out some of my other customs if you like what you've seen on this one. I do have some restorations also. Got some races if you guys like the racing thing. And I will see you guys on the next build. Thanks again, and see you later.